Switch off this. Hello, everybody. Let's switch off the ringer on this. Okay, so ringer switched off. I don't know why my nose is stuffed up. I've had a little bit of wine, so we're in a good mood. Well, wine is supposed to be good for you, so I'm having a little bit of acid reflux from the wine, but it's nice. I just had a little bit of the wine. Hello. This is Dr. Tochi, and I'm here to answer your questions on older women and spirituality. And hopefully, we can have an interesting, evening of some minutes together. I hope your week is going well, that you're making the most of the Mercury retrograde and the waxing moon. The moon is decreasing. I was just checking comments online on different platforms, and some people were just like saying that the Mercury retrograde we went through that ended on August 11th was one of the most brutal ever. And I'm afraid I have to agree with them because I just had so many things that were going haywire that it wasn't even funny. Between auto accidents and missing documents and miscommunication and people having meltdowns for no darn reason, information going missing, it's just like crazy. But we will survive. We will get through it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tochi, aka Papa Dr. Tochi, Mama of the men's and the women's. And my website is drtochi.com or tochi.us. And there you can book me for your spiritual practice coaching, divination, spiritual counseling, dream interpretation, events, classes, courses, books, and spiritual products, especially your portable altars. One of the things I've had to slow down and pay attention to is this ripping and running around. Just the sense of being busy for busy's sake. And then asking myself, how much money is this busyness adding to my bank account? Am I being busy because I'm looking for something to do? Am I being busy because I'm trying to get someone's approval? Or am I being busy because I'm trying to be productive and get some results? Or am I being busy because there's something I'm avoiding? And I dare say some of us here in this class now and the replay later might identify with that. Remember to give the live stream a thumbs up. That lets the algorithm know to inform other people that class has started. And I'm using my fancy microphone. Lorna Robertson, I am live. It should show live in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. It should show live. Okay, so a thumbs up will be appreciated. That encourages me to put out material like this. Always look at the screen. You will always get an indication as to whether it's live or not. Hi, Sophia. Okay. Remember to give us a thumbs up. So this evening, let's have a discussion around older women and spirituality. If you have questions relating to older women and spirituality, now would be a good time to ask those questions and have us discuss them. One of the things that made me come on this live stream, thank you, Sophia. One of the things that made me come on this live stream was just listening to some commentary by other content creators about older women and their chances of success in a patriarchal world. Okay. And many women feel marginalized because once the youthfulness is gone and the body, the skin, the body is no longer as elastic as it used to be. They tend to lose value according to the patriarchal value system and get replaced by younger women. Okay. So that can be very disabling. Okay. Maybe when you were younger, you were the cynosure of eyes and attention. And, you had the male attention and the male gaze focused on you. I for one, know that when I was younger, I did have my good share of male attention. But when you get older and your tummy is no longer flat and you don't have the curves and you're having some wrinkles here and there, and some liver spots start showing on the hand, and the skin starts thinning around the neck and the chest. And people, instead of addressing you as miss, start addressing you as ma'am. Many of us just say, okay, so where do we go from here? Okay. We're finding that as an older woman, if a man is paying attention to you, chances are they're paying attention to you more out of respect than admiration, or they're paying attention to you more out of, respect than attraction. And some of us are like, okay, is this the end of the road? And then we look at what happens to the males and we say, this is unfortunate. A man could be 100 years old and decrepit, but as long as he can produce sperm, he still has value. And so that becomes a challenge for many of us who are older women to start navigating. And the way that the patriarchal system is set up is set up in such a way that women compete amongst themselves. And the older women are competing with the younger women, and the younger women are competing amongst themselves, and the older women are competing amongst themselves. But we don't see that kind of competition amongst men, except when men are competing for younger women. Remember to give the live stream a thumbs up. That lets the algorithm know that class is in session, and it lets other people know that we're on here live. I like the way, look at this. See that? So it brings up that thumbs up thing here. It's this new device that I have. It has all these reaction things. Let me see. Will it give me a heart if I do this? Okay, it doesn't. Oh, it knows that's a heart. Isn't that something? Okay. It knows that that's a heart. Oh my goodness. That is so cool. I need to see what the other reactions are. This is so cool. I wonder what I have to do to generate the other ones. Because it has like rain and celebration. I guess if I do like this, will it do anything? I guess not. Or if I do like this. Okay, I thought if you do clapping, will it know that that's a celebration? Or if you wave, will it do something? Okay, it's going to take me a while to figure out what hand gestures produce those reactions, but that's kind of cool. So we end up existing in this matrix of competition. Am I pretty enough to attract the male gaze? Do I have what it takes to attract and keep the male gaze? Because if I have the male gaze on me, that ensures my survival. And for many women, that's what it is. As long as a man is paying attention to you, you can access resources. If a man is not paying attention to you, then you don't access resources. And, I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. I'm just here to say that that's the way it is. We also have in this day and age a rise in the number of men who are being predatory towards women. So instead of the traditional role of the man being the provider, we're now having more and more men getting women to step into masculine energy and be the provider. Okay, so women have to step out of their feminine energy and step into a masculine energy to be a provider in order to get the companionship that they want and desire. So basically what this looks like is you have a situation where a woman who would, under traditional rules, be the one who's chased, who's the one who's desired, the one who's provided for, now being the provider in order for her to have companionship. And remember, I've said it in classes before that we all, women and men, have been designed for companionship. So while men can pretty much have companionship with little effort, if they want any kind of companionship, we're not classifying the kind of companionship. But if a man basically says, I want any kind of companionship, they're more likely to get it. And it's easier for them to get it than a woman. And so the woman has to go into competition mode and has to go into masculine energy mode in order to get the companionship that she wants and desires. And so when a woman steps into that masculine energy, she's now regarded as and treated as a provider. And then the man can be in his feminine energy as a receiver. But nature cannot be cheated. Even if he is in a feminine energy with a masculine energy woman, he will turn around and be in his masculine energy with someone else. I was also reading a report a couple of weeks ago that was stating that more and more young men are not even making an effort to chase women, to be with women. Some men are just like totally foregoing that experience, and they're basically saying, whatever is. If a man comes along, fine. If a woman comes along, fine. If neither man nor woman comes along, that's also fine. I'm going to engage myself with my electronic gadgets and my digital assets. And so you have people who are out there who are lonely and looking for companionship, and some people who have basically said, you know what, I'm not going to be bothered. What is. So this is the context within which I'm asking us to think at this moment. What does all of this mean for the older woman? And some older women have basically said, you know what? I am not going to be on that hamster wheel. I'm not going to be in this game of trying to get the male gaze or the male attention. I'm going to turn my focus on women like myself. As long as my bed is warm and I have someone to eat with, I'm good to go. But then the society may or may not make it easy for that woman to live that kind of lifestyle, especially an older woman. And then, of course, let me not forget other societal expectations placed on women. When you're an older woman, people will say, you ought to have children and grandchildren keeping you company. Why do you need male companionship? Why do you need female companionship? Why do you need the companionship of anyone else but your children and grandchildren? But it's still okay for a man, regardless of his age, to have companionship from across a continuum of demographics. But women are expected to get their companionship needs fulfilled by their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And many women have accepted it. They're like, that's all I need. But then they forget that these children will grow up and get married and go away. The grandchildren will grow up, get married, and go away. And then what happens? And so we find a lot of older women, as they're getting older, they don't have the experience and the network of people who are outside of their family to keep them company as they get older. Because we've been focusing on family, whereas men have been focusing on their friendships, not just family, but their friendships. And women, we're always like looking towards family. So it becomes a disadvantage. I want to go put on the fan. I am perspiring very lightly. One moment. So pardon me if that's a little bit noisy. So, hey, look at that. That vanished. Okay. So what do you think about this? We have women, as they get older, they start turning more and more to religion to give them comfort. to give them solace as the children grow up and leave the home, as the grandchildren grow up and leave. Older women tend to turn more and more to religion. But the men, if they have lived long enough, because we know that men generally have shorter life expectancies compared to women, they have their friends. They have their old friends. They have their activities that they do. They have games that they attend, activities that they do as men. They do it together as men. But most women find out that when they get old, they're getting old alone. Most of their other friends have isolated just like they have, because the same way that you as a woman, you turn to face your family and children, is the same way the other females have turned to face their family and children. And so those connections become faded, frayed, and disconnected. And so we turn to religion because we're looking for comfort. And so you go to the church and you see a lot of women. You go to the mosque, you see a lot of women. You go to the religious groups, organizations, you see a lot of women. And they're there for companionship. They're there for attention. They're there for connection. One of the interesting things, I was watching a video on a social media platform where a man, I think it was an African guy, was castigating the thinking processes of religious women. And he said, have you ever seen a man go to church and ask or the pastor or the church leadership or the prayer warriors to pray with him and to encourage him to keep on staying with a cheating wife or cheating girlfriend? Have you ever heard a man go and say, oh God, change the heart of my cheating wife or cheating girlfriend? I know that she can change. I'm placing it in the hands of God that she's going to change. Have you ever seen or heard of a man who has been there long suffering? And he said, but it's so common with women. A man is out there acting like a knucklehead, and we're busy up in church or a mosque or wherever a religious organization is, and we're there saying, oh God, change him, change his heart. I know he can change. Oh God, I know you can do this. You can make him change. I know he can change for me. If I love him enough, he will change. And part of this, in my opinion, is because women, we are raised or we are socialized not to see that we have options. And so we think that if we have this one relationship, that's all we got. We don't have options. Nobody else will be interested in us. Nobody else will want us. And so we'll do everything to keep and preserve that relationship we have, no matter how bad it is. So where does that leave the older woman? And by older woman, I mean the woman who is 50 years and above. We've been socialized to believe that this is where we are. This is the last bus stop. Okay, this is the last bus stop. We have no options. Therefore, we have to call on God to make it work out, even though it's not working for us. Okay. So even though there are a lot of younger women now saying, I could never be my grandmother, I could never be my mother, we find out that with time, we start transforming to become our mothers and grandmothers. Because the socialization, the indoctrination of the patriarchal system is very strong. It's very strong. And it's even strong upon lesbian relationships. So even when you have a woman-to-woman relationship, you still have strong patriarchal influences in how that woman-to-woman relationship is negotiated. You understand? So we look at that and we say, is there something we can do to either wake up from that matrix, change how we interact with that matrix, or change the matrix? Okay. When you go on social media, for instance, there's a lot of advice and counsel directed towards those who are youthful. Here's how to dress. Here's how to look. Here's how to put on your makeup. Your hair has to look this way. Oh, this is what you can do to make the male happy. And even if you're not into males, here's how you can dress like a male. Here's how you can duplicate the male energy. Here's how you can replicate the male energy. Here's how you can represent the male energy in your relationship. And so we find out that nature will still move on regardless. Nature will still demand to be satisfied regardless of what we think we ought to be doing. Even if I'm in a woman-to-woman relationship, why does somebody need to be operating in a masculine energy? Why does someone have to be operating in a masculine energy? Why? It's to satisfy the balance, that equilibrium that is required by the universe. So, for older women, what's the way forward? For older women, what's really the way forward in the face of blatant youthism? Use this cream, use this potion, use this lotion so that you look younger. Put on this kind of outfit so that you can look younger. Dress a certain way so that you can look younger. Here's how to put yourself together so that you can compete with those who are younger. Where does the spirituality of the older woman come to play? And that, when I talk about the spirituality, I'm not talking about the religiosity. I'm talking about the spirituality. Where does it come into play? Where does it come into play? I don't see us right now, at least not in this era, trying to single-handedly overthrow patriarchy and patriarchal systems. I'm not seeing that happening because there are too many women who are actually supporting the patriarchal system, whether they know it or not. So they've co-signed to it, they agree with it, they live by it, they uphold it. So I'm not even seeing that happen. But as an older woman who is saying, you know what, I want to leave the religiosity behind. I want to live a spiritual life. I want to live an elevated life, an elevated, spiritually elevated life. Where, how do we then leverage our spirituality in order to do so, in order to get the things that we want? Because remember again, all human beings, female and male, were designed for companionship. Okay. So if it's easier for a guy, regardless of his age, to go out there and get somebody, and I know I'm using a broad brush here. I know I'm using a broad brush. Okay. Um, where does that leave the older woman? Does she have to sit there and say, okay, well, let me do this ritual or the other ritual and see what my net can catch? Why does she even have to be thinking or operating within that context of trying to quote unquote catch? Why are we catching? Why do we have to catch anyone? Why can't we be the ones that are being caught? Okay. So I hope that this is something that many of us can start thinking about as we practice our various forms of spirituality. Okay. I think this is something some of us can start thinking about. What does it mean for me to be a spiritual older woman? I mean, like, what does this really mean? Does it mean I'm using my spiritual knowledge to try and quote unquote catch a partner, to find love, make money, have peace of mind, have clarity, have spiritual powers, be able to fly like a witch and a broom at night, however it is we're defining our spirituality? Because at some point, yes, we want to be the crone, we want to be the wise woman, we want to be the lineage preserver, we want to be the anchors that hold down the family and the lineages and all those wonderful things. But we still have needs as human beings, And one of the primary needs that we have is that of companionship. So how are we looking at our spirituality and saying, I'm doing all these things, these wonderful big things, but how am I leveraging my spirituality to really get the things that I need to thrive as an older woman? Okay. One of the sad things I've seen with some older women who are around me, and I'm talking about women in their late 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, is when there isn't a companion in the picture, some of them choose a number of paths to existence. Either they say, you know what, I'm going to be by myself and enjoy my solitude, enjoy my peace of mind by myself, or some of them will proceed to go cannibalize other women. And so their days are spent criticizing and talking about other women and their shortcomings or perceived shortcomings. Oh, she didn't do this and she didn't do that and she can't do this and the other and she ought to have done this and done the other, and then this person, should have done. Then there's a whole bunch of shoulda, a whole bunch of criticisms. Because I think instead of calming down and facing the fact that, hey, they're lonely, they're not fulfilling their destiny, they're not thriving where they are, they're like, if I can spend my time criticizing and attacking these other people, then it will take away attention from the fact that I'm not living the life that I need to be living. It happens with younger people too, but I find it very pronounced with older women. So there's this inability or reluctance to sit down and say, you know what, I haven't lived the life that I need to live. I haven't fulfilled my destiny. I haven't been obedient to my spiritual crew. What can I do to make sure that the rest of my days are productive and peaceful? But oh no, if I spend my time attacking and criticizing the other person, then I will have the sense that I've accomplished something, when in reality I haven't accomplished anything. You know what I mean? So let's take a moment to start calming down. I think we have some food for thought here. And I invite you to breathe calmly with me. Inhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Inhale. And exhale. And feel yourself calm down. Now, ask yourself, what is my body telling me right now that I need? And don't censor anything that comes to your mind. Whatever comes to your mind comes to your mind. Just ask, What is my body needing right now? Do I need to sleep? Is my body saying I need to sleep? Is it saying I need a hug? Is it saying I need to have a good cry? Is my body saying it needs quiet? Is my body saying I need to stop eating for a quick minute? I need to stop drinking for a quick minute? Is my body saying I need to be still? What is my body saying to me right now? What is my body saying to me right now that will make me happy? What will make me happy right now? And we're not saying once you identify what will make you happy, start taking immediate action on it right now while we're sitting here. But for many of us who are women, especially older women, we stopped listening to ourselves a long time ago. We've been listening to everybody else but ourselves. We listen to everybody else but ourselves. And sometimes, even when we ask ourselves that question, what will make me happy right now? We will still answer that question with respect to others. Oh, what will make me happy right now is to go play with my grandkids. What will make me happy right now is to go chat with my kids. Or what will make me happy now is to go cook a meal for my family, or to go do this and do this for other people. And if that's where your thoughts and mind are going to right now, you need to sit with this a little bit longer. What is your body telling you right now will make you happy? Not what your mind is saying to you, not what your sense of obligation is saying to you. What do you feel in your bones right now that will make you happy? What is keeping me? Okay. What is keeping me from being happy the way that my body needs me to be kept happy? What is keeping me? Your body is telling you, let me use this as an example. I want just to have some peace and quiet. My body says, I want some peace and quiet right now. So the question is, what is keeping you from having that peace and quiet right now? Is there anything that is keeping you from having that peace and quiet? Remember, we're not taking any immediate action. We're just identifying. As mature women, we are identifying what our body is saying. We're listening to the body. So So, what is my body saying to me right now that I need to be doing for me? Not for someone else, for me. And I know some women are going to start arguing. Yeah, my body is telling me I need to go do my laundry for my significant other. My body is telling me, oh, you need to go start the meal prep and put things in order in the kitchen so that tomorrow morning you won't have to work so hard. If you're having those kind of thoughts where you're thinking to yourself, your body is telling you you need to be doing XYZ for other people, then you're not there yet. I invite you to take a moment to share in the comment section what your body is telling you that you need right now. And if I'm to start out, I would say my body is saying to me, I need to detox. I'm carrying too much. I need to detox. I'm carrying too much. I'm even carrying that which is not mine to carry. So feel free to share in the comment section what your body is saying to you right now. Okay. Thank you, Felicia. My body is telling me I need a vacation and exercise. And we're not saying that you should get up from your seat right now to go take a vacation and exercise, but part of the solution is recognizing and acknowledging what your body is saying to you. What does a vacation represent? What does a vacation represent to you? What is keeping you from that vacation and exercise? I remember vacation doesn't have to be like taking a cruise to somewhere. Sometimes a vacation could be spending one whole day by yourself at home with nobody calling you, nobody bothering you, you eating whatever you want to eat. For some people, that's just eating something good, not just eating junk just because that's all you can lay your hands on. So, what is your body telling you that it needs right now? You can put it in the comment section. Just settle in, calm down. If you need to close your eyes, that's fine. And start sensing in your body. What is your body telling you that it needs right now? What is your body saying to you that it needs right now? I would be happy with energy, strength. I need my youthfulness and weight loss. Okay. Peace and nourishing. Okay, row is saying rest and stop worrying. Okay. Your body needs rest and to stop worrying. What else? Anyone else who wants to share? Remember to focus on yourself and focus on your body. What is your body saying to you? Business first. The little assignment we're working on is not how to hear from the divine and spirit guides. The assignment we're working on is you finding out from your body what you need, what your body needs from you right now. So we're not talking about things we're assigning to ourselves. Oh, I want to know how to hear from the divine. I want to know how to hear from my spirit guides. Many of us can't even hear from our own bodies, talk less of hearing from spirit guides. No worries. That's what we're working on. How can you hear from your body? How do you know what you need? Because if you want to hear from the divine and spirit guides, I'm assuming you're wanting direction and guidance from the spirit guides. But how are you going to hear them that are outside of you when you're not hearing what is already inside of you. And, I've been talking about mature women. A lot of us were mature women. We've spent all our lives catering to others that many of us have lost the ability or forgotten how to care for ourselves and listen to what we want. Okay, you're saying walk and exercise more. Yeah. And I shared earlier that for me, what my body says to me is detox. You know what I mean? Detox. I need a detox. All right. And detox from a lot of things. So it's not just the physical things, but also some spiritual things, some mental things, some psychological things. You know what I mean? Yeah. And detoxing is huge because a lot of times when we are full of toxins, we attract other toxins, we indulge in other toxins, we attract other people with toxins, we tolerate toxins. And then after a while, we start thinking, well, I've got this patch thing still on my face. And then we start thinking that being in a toxic state is normal. Being in a toxic state is not normal. Being angry all the time is not normal. Being enraged all the time is not normal. But we live in a world where, people want to be baited, or they put out baits for others to take up and then start getting involved in drama. Being involved in drama, constant drama, is not normal. Raising son, discipline to respond on time is what I hear. When I read that discipline to respond on time, is that what your body needs or what you think you need? See, we need to be very clear about the difference between one and the other. I want to be disciplined. I want to be organized. I want to be obedient to my spiritual crew. These are the things that I want, but it's not necessarily what my body wants. Do you get the difference? It's not necessarily what my body wants. And so when I read something like discipline to respond on time, I'm seeing something that's external. Oh, I have all these things going on. I want to be disciplined about achieving this and disciplined about achieving that. Does the body want to be disciplined? Is that what it needs? Or is it you thinking that you need to discipline your body? You see the difference? Okay. Business first has come back to say, I need mental rest. I agree with that. And that's also part of detoxing. What thoughts am I carrying that are not mine to carry? What beliefs am I holding that are not worth believing, that are not true? Because when we're carrying loads that are not ours to carry, especially when we're carrying mental loads that are not ours to carry, or we're believing things that make no sense, we have a lot of mental noise and our minds become a battlefield. And we have no peace of mind. And then we become mentally fatigued. Uba Abdi, letting go of past luggage and making peace with it, is that what your body needs or what you think you ought to do? Think about what you're saying. Is it what you think you ought to do? I need to let go of past luggage. Or is it what your body needs? I want to say that Uba Abdi, you need what business first needs: mental rest. What do you think? Because making peace, letting go of luggage is all about calming the battlefield that's going on in the head. It's all about calming that battlefield going on in the head. So, do you see how business first just really distilled it to the essence of what I just need mental rest? In other words, I need peace of mind. My body is saying I need peace of mind. So now, what does peace of mind involve? That's when you start talking about the tasks. Part of gaining peace of mind means letting go of past baggage, making peace with my past. These are the tasks, these are the things you do in order to gain peace of mind. But what is the main thing that you need is peace of mind? Why do I need peace of mind? Because there's a battlefield going on inside my head. See what I mean? And many of us, I don't know if some of you saw some of the short clips I put out a couple of weeks ago about the battlefield of the mind. Many of us have so much mental noise, it is hard for us to think straight. It's like you wake up in the morning and it's like you got to battle this, you got to deal with this, and somebody says something and you got to tackle this and answer this, and people are just creating issues where no issues existed before. And then, there's just so much mental fatigue and mental fog going on inside the head because you're constantly thinking, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? How do I take care of this? How do I make this go away? And then the mind is so consumed. And so we're like, I need a mental rest. I need a mental break. And so many of us are like that. Mercury retrograde kind of highlighted that for a lot of us, especially those of us who are professional worriers. We worry about everything. You know what I mean? Some of us are professional worriers. We just worry about everything. And for those of us who are mental worriers, it's hard because we just have so much going on inside our heads. And then our bodies become tired, become exhausted because we're just constantly worrying about what's going to happen now. How am I going to handle this? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? How am I going to handle this? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? We start getting anxious and we start getting fearful. And then the body starts existing in a state of stress. Okay, so let's start rounding up for the evening. We've put in an hour here. I'm grateful that you did take time out of your busy day or night to come hang out with me for a bit. Remember, there's a little poster I put out earlier where I said, there are so many dogs barking out there. You can't be paying attention to every dog that's barking out there if you want to have peace of mind. And in the world we're living in now, you're welcome. Um, there's too many dogs barking. Even when you're busy minding your own business. And especially when you're minding your own business. especially when you're minding your own business. And you think you're doing everything. And I think for some of us, that's very hard to accept because, we were brought up to obey the rules and do everything according to the rules. And we were promised that if you do things according to the rules, everything will work out and you're not going to have problems and you're going to be rewarded. And so we did everything by the rules, only to discover that we didn't get what we were promised. And that becomes a source of stress. There are many older people now, and again, when I say older, I mean 50 and above, who are sitting and saying, I did everything that I was told to do. I went to school, I went to college, I graduated, but I didn't get the fantastic job. I didn't get the fantastic spouse. I did not get the fantastic children. I did not get the fantastic um, bank account. I didn't get, I'm seeing other people doing way less than I'm doing, and they're doing way better than I'm doing. Where am I going wrong? And then the brain, yeah, and went to church too, church going or mosque going. I was always obedient to the religious rules that were put in front of me. How come I'm not as successful as I thought I was going to be? Why am I sitting here overweight with high blood pressure, acid reflux, swollen ankles, a big belly, a receding hairline, gray hair in my eyebrows? You know what I'm saying? High blood sugar, fill in the blank. And I did everything I was supposed to do. I did not make trouble. I did not cause trouble. Whatever I was told to do, I did it. How come it's not worked out for me? And I've just found from my personal experiences, because one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the main reasons is because we weren't obedient. Our gut, our intuition, which is the way our body talks to us, says, go this way. But we were like, no, you know what? Everybody is going that way. I don't know if some of you were following me a couple of years back when we were talking about marriages. And I think I did a live stream on that. When I asked people who are divorced or separated, when did they know that marriage was a wrong marriage? And so many people in the comment section said during the wedding or right before the wedding, they knew it was a big mistake. And so I asked, so why did you continue? And people were like, oh, we had already paid for the hall. We had already sent the invitations out. We had already booked the caterer. Even though your body said to you, this is wrong. Oh, my mother was pushing it. I didn't want to disappoint my mother. We had put a big deposit on the hall. We didn't want to lose our deposit. And so it's not as if we didn't know. We knew. But there was some part of us that was thinking that in my case, it's going to be different. And so we jumped into it and we discovered that our case was not different. This is what I mean by listening to the body. So do you see it's not, when I say listening to the body, we're not talking about giving assignments. We're not talking about giving assignments. Oh, I need to be more disciplined. No. Listening to the body is when the body is telling you, do this or don't do this. That is what the body is saying. Not assignments. We're not talking about assignments. We're not talking about, oh, I got to exercise more. I know I'm supposed to exercise. That's not what the body really is saying. The body is saying, I'm not living naturally. What is a natural way of living? Movement. Not exercise, movement. Movement. Felicia's like, I wish I could turn back time on that wedding. So when people are saying, even myself, when we're saying, oh, I need to exercise, what really we're saying is, I need to move my body. And sometimes I don't want to exercise. Sometimes I want to stretch. Sometimes I want to walk. The body needs movement. Movement. But in our minds, we're like, oh, I have to exercise. And whenever we're saying, I have to exercise, I have to lose weight, it becomes a battle. But if I say, I need to detox, my body is saying to detox. Well, what is my body wanting me to detox from? It wants me to detox from the negative thoughts I'm having, detox from the wrong foods I'm eating, detox from the company I'm keeping. Weight loss must follow. Weight loss must follow. Let me give an example. I've had some mornings that I've woken up, and some of you might identify with this. I've had some mornings when I've woken up, and when I wake up, my body's like, oh, I would love to have some watermelon, some fresh watermelon. And in my mind, I have a picture of watermelon chunks. So I'm just sitting there first thing in the morning. I haven't even brushed my teeth, and I'm having this picture of my mind of watermelon chunks. How many times have I obeyed that need? More often than not, I say, oh my God, I have to get dressed and get into the car and then drive over to the grocery store. And then I have to go buy the watermelon. Then I have to bring it back to the house. And so what do? I make myself a cup of coffee. But that's not what my body said it needed. Imagine the benefit I would get if I could overcome my inertia and go get that watermelon. But many times we will do what we want to do or what is convenient to do and not what our bodies told us to do. Sometimes we won't do what we're supposed to do because we're afraid of people approval. What will they say? What will they say? What will they say about me? How will I defend myself? One of the greatest skills we can learn as older people, and I'm addressing older people, okay? Apologies if you're not older, 50 and above, but you could still learn from this. One of the greatest things we can do is to learn how to stop defending ourselves. If you and I have been dating but my body says you're not the right person for me. I feel it in my gut that I should not marry you. The the best way I can honor myself, my creator, my guardian spirit, my ancestors, and my spirit guides is to be obedient to that feeling. No matter what that person says, no matter what other people around me say. I think I shared the story here some years ago about one engagement I had where it was sprung upon me in an airport. The young man I was dating that time was just a fuck buddy. Okay. And I knew that in my mind. Okay. And I think, to be honest, he also saw me that way as well. Now, while we were running this thing, I got a good job, a very good job, very good engineering job. And back then, it was considered good average pay. And so his friends started telling him, it would be a shame if you let her go and somebody else proposes to her. You better marry her. You better wife her. I swear I didn't like this guy. I just liked him for the intimacy, but outside of that, I didn't like his personality. I didn't like his lifestyle. I didn't like his life choices. I saw that he was a user. I had seen how he had used other people. So I had resolved in my mind I would continue being intimate with him until I found a replacement. But of course, I never told him that. And so when I got this new job and signed up for it and I told him all about it, I started that new job, I believe, in November. In December, I went to his neck of the woods, which was a different state, because I was a member of a church there and I was a member of their choir. So I wanted to do one last choir concert with them. Okay. So I flew to that place, to that state. And of course, he knew I was coming. Before, and I did have friends over there as well. So I told one of my girlfriends there that, hey, I was going to fly into town to sing in the choir, just fulfill the obligation because I had gotten this job. I didn't want to leave them in the lurch. Okay. So I was going to fly back in and sing in the choir and then wrap it up. And she told me over the phone, oh, by the way, so and so has bought you an engagement ring. He came by to ask me my opinion about which engagement ring he should get for you. So be prepared. He's going to propose. And I said, well, thank you for letting me know. So in my mind, I started preparing rejection statements. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, okay, he'll probably pick me up from the airport, take me to his apartment, and probably pop it there. Or maybe we'll go for dinner and he'll pop it there. So I was like, okay, either way, I'll be ready. When I got to the airport, he came to meet me in the airport. I was like, hey, good to see you. He dropped on his knees right there with the ring in hand and said, will you marry me? My whole body, every fiber in my body was screaming no. Every fiber in my body was screaming no. A crowd started gathering around us at the airport. And there were women there going, "Oh my God, he's proposing. Here, look at that. Oh my God." And he's still on his knees, and I'm looking at him, and I call him and I say to him, let's go talk about this in the car. And he's like, "No, I will not stand up from here until you say yes." So I knelt down on the floor with him and I pulled him close. I said, "I think we should talk about this." And he's like, "No, I'm not going to stand up until you say yes." And the people who had gathered, it was majority women, were saying, "Say yes, say yes, say yes. Oh my God, what are you waiting for? The man's on his knees. Stop keeping him on his knees. Say yes, say yes, say yes." So I said yes. And he put the ring on my finger. And we hugged and kissed. And everybody was like, "Eh." This is this is not in the time of mobile phones, so thank God no pictures were taken. This was pre-smartphone, pre-internet. Okay. But even as he slipped that ring on my finger, I was plotting. As we walked to the airport parking lot, I was plotting in my mind how to get out of this. In my mind, I was plotting. So he took me over. I wasn't going to stay at his place. He took me over to go stay with my friend and her husband. So got there, everybody, I showed her the ring. She was like, "Oh, nice." And after he went home to his apartment, she asked me, she goes, "You don't really want to marry this guy, do you?" I said, "No." And she says, "Why don't you tell him?" I said, "I tried to tell him, but he wasn't listening." And she said, "Well, if you don't want to marry him, you don't have to marry him." I said, "I know, I won't. I just have to find a courteous or diplomatic way to discharge him." And that friend, that lady, rest her soul, she's now an ancestor. She was a direct kind of person. If she liked something, she would let you know. If she didn't like something, she would let you know. I mean, there was just she she was just that kind of person. Okay. If you were fat, she would tell you you're fat. If you were skinny, she would tell you you're skinny. I mean, there was no sugarcoating with her. So I told her, "Look, I'm not interested in this." And she was like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Eh." I said, "No." And she's like, "Okay, just let him." I said to her, "Don't worry." And within 2 months, I had given him back his ring. All I had to do was to wait patiently for him to offend me. And I gave him back that ring. Oh, and it was very easy for him to offend me because he was offensive. Looking back, I dodged a huge bullet. Looking back. But it was hard because, first of all, that proposal was staged. And I think he knew in his heart of hearts, if he did not do what he did the way he did it at the airport, in private, I would have said no. So he wanted to force the issue and make sure that I said yes. And so that's why he proposed at the airport in front of people, so that I would not want to embarrass him in front of people because of people approval, just agree with the whole thing. But Unfortunately, he didn't really understand the kind of person I was. He did not understand. And I don't think he realized that he was not the first person I had rejected in my life. It was not the first proposal I had rejected. So he didn't do his homework. Okay. If he had done his homework, he would have known that my no was my no and my yes was my yes. And I had a very strong spiritual foundation at that point, you know. And I already knew in my mind that he would not accept my spiritual practices. But there are so many of us, we have a spiritual life, spiritual practices, but just because we want to satisfy public opinion, just because we want to satisfy family members, we will put all that to the side and get yoked to somebody who would destroy and derail us from our life destiny just so that we can make other people happy and make that person happy. And there are so many people who have regretted that. If you are a spiritual person, if you want to practice your spirituality and the person you are tangling with, you already know your body, your intuition, your gut is telling you that this person will not take it, will not tolerate it, will not support it. Do not sit there and make the mistake and say, I am different, they will change. You are setting yourself up for failure. And so, even at such a young age, I already knew that my spirituality was non negotiable. My interest in metaphysics and mysticism, the occult, was non negotiable. And if whoever I was dealing with was not interested in it, antagonistic to it, or ignorant of it, we could not be life companions, partners. We could not. It's not happening. And I remember people asking me, are you not afraid to be single for the rest of your life if you don't find someone who will accept your spiritual interests? I said, no, I'm not. Because when I was born by myself. I came alone. And when it's time for me to go, am I going to drag someone along with me? Peace of mind is very important to me. I want to be able to sleep at night with both eyes closed without worrying if somebody is sabotaging me somewhere. If someone is acting against my interests, I want to be able to do all that. I don't want to sleep like a dog. I want to be able to leave my home and have the full confidence that when I come back, my altar has not been set on fire. And that somebody's not there yelling, I'm going to cast demons out of you. I don't want someone destroying my archives, my grimoires, my spiritual books, my notes, things I have accumulated over the years. I don't want that. Next, the dark phoenix. They will shame you and start trying to change you, even if they know they met you with your beliefs and practices. That's true. Some people will go and they will start dating a big girl, or they will date a big boy, and then they'll turn around and say, "You're so fat. I'm so embarrassed. Why are you so fat? You eat too much. You're fat." But you met the person fat. You met them fat. You met them big. And after they agreed and opened up the door of their hearts to you, then you go in there, you ensconce yourself there, and then you start waving a sword about. You're right. It happens. And so that was the reason for me rejecting this young man. I was not prepared to go down that path where somebody was going to tell me, because remember at the beginning of this chat, we were talking about patriarchal structures, where someone's going to say, well, he's the man, he's the head, he's the head of the, he's the head and you're the neck. And a good Christian woman should be submissive to her husband. Oh, we're not playing that game. I'm not starting a game that I'm not prepared to finish. And I'm not going to start a game that is going to end with daggers. Because when I fight to the finish. Okay? So what's the point of starting that kind of fight? How do you get peace of mind? Because, okay, just imagine that I had agreed to marry this young man. He you know, I don't remember what church it was. Well, he was a nominal Christian, but can you imagine? I mean, this is a person who tried to control me in every single way. When I started that new job, that new engineering job, he wanted to dictate how I spent my income. He wanted to dictate that, telling me who I could give money to and who I couldn't give money to, controlling all of that. If someone gave me a gift and the gift was more than one, he would take one and give me one and say, you don't need all that. The gift is for me. Gift is for me. Gift is for me. Somebody says, take this and give this to Tochi, and he would divvy it up into two. You don't need all that. I remember I had some relatives send me some clothes and food stuff. He divvied it out into two and said, you don't need all that. And I smiled to myself. Right. And how much you can give, what you can wear. But I smiled to myself and said, it's a small price to pay for the great rift that is about to happen. I just need him to do certain so that I can use that as a base for saying, no, I can't do this. And I remember when he gave me that ring and I flew back to the state where I was living in at that time. I took that ring with its one stone and went to a jeweler at the mall, and I said, and I think the jeweler was a Middle Eastern guy. And I said to him, sir, can you do me a favor and tell me the value of this ring? And the guy said, no, this is an engagement ring. You really don't want to do this. And I said, no, it's okay. I said, sir, don't feel bad. I will not marry this person. I said, I will not marry this person. I just want to know how much, because I'm going to give it back. And the guy looked at me. He says, oh, in that case, give it to me. Let me evaluate. And he evaluated the ring and he says, oh, it's worth about $600. I said, okay, thank you. I said, don't feel bad. I'm not going to marry him. I'm gonna give it back. And then I told the jeweler the story of how he proposed, and he goes, no, 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 no. He goes, no, Habibi, no, he's he's not the right person for you. I said, I already know. I already know that. I'm just kind of curious, like how much is he pay? Did he pay out of pocket for this thing? So all of that information helped to firm my resolve to get out of this, and it took me 60 days. 60 days. I threw his ring back at him. He had come to my place and then tried to do all that. You know, he was like, "You can have this. You can't have this. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do the other. When you go to work, you need to call me and let me know when you're coming home. You're supposed to leave the office at 5 o'clock." And you're coming home by 6 or 7 o'clock. That is unacceptable. I said to him, "Sir, this is not going to work." And he was drinking alcohol because I used to have a extensive bar, and he was drinking. He drank a lot at the time, and so he was had a drink in his hand, and he poured that drink on me. So internally, I smiled. And so I took off the ring and gave it back to him. I said, "You can have it. I'm not interested. We're not going to do this." And he says, "No, I'm not going to take it." I said, "Yes, you will." So I took the ring and I inserted it into one piece of his luggage and called the police. Police came and invited him to leave. It was the last I saw of him. He reached out to me a couple of years ago. "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine. I'm busy." Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a dog that goes back to its vomit. "Oh, here, I'm going to add you to my mailing list. We distribute information about the world and what's happening in the world." And I say, "Please take me off your mailing list. I don't have time to read all that." And that was the last I heard from him. I am not a dog that returns to its vomit. If I say no, my no is my no, and my yes is my yes. We're not going to say, "Oh, maybe he has changed." And some of us older women fall for that. "Oh, I'm so lonely. Uh, Maybe he will be accepting of my spirituality now. Maybe she will be accepting of my spirituality now." Unless the person is demonstrating it, they will not be acceptable. Don't be fooled. And don't fool yourself. Because one of the things we do very well as human beings is indulge in self-deception. Many of us very easily, very quickly indulge in self-deception. "Oh, it's been 30 years. It's been 40 years. I'm sure they've changed now. If I tell them that I'm into ancestor veneration, I'm sure they'll be excited." He'll have you wearing a kitten heel. You know that's right. And then you go drug this person in from your past. You show them your ancestor altar. And somewhere in the back of their mind, they're thinking how to set that thing on fire. Because they know it's important to you. If I do this, if I burn this thing down, it will hurt her. It will put her in her place. It will humble her. When you are an older person, especially an older woman, you don't need to be dealing with people who are looking to humble you and put you in your place. Well, um, relationships are compromise. No, they're not. If you are dealing with your life companion, you don't need to compromise because both of you will complement each other. Do I need to repeat that? Do I need to repeat that? If you didn't get it and you need me to repeat it, I'll repeat it. When we talk of compromise, we talk about tolerating something. I don't like this, but I'm going to tolerate it. But when we talk about complementing, I am strong in this and they're strong in that. They like doing this. I don't like doing it, but I have some other things I like doing that they don't like doing. So we trade off. We're not tolerating, we're trading off. Big difference. If you don't like doing dishes and he doesn't like doing dishes, but you do dishes just because you want to be married, that is a compromise. If you don't like doing the laundry and she doesn't like doing the laundry, but you decide to do the laundry because you want to be married to her, that is a compromise. Oh, I just want to keep peace. I don't want an argument. That is compromise. But if I like doing the laundry and ironing and folding, and she likes washing, cleaning the house and vacuuming and stuff, we can trade off. I'll do all the laundry. I'll never ask you to do the laundry because I know it's not your thing. And I don't like cleaning the house and vacuuming and cleaning and all that. So I'll leave it to you. We're okay. That's a trade off. I'm doing the things I like. You're doing the things you like. And when we do the things that we like, we get everything done. Okay. So again, you see why that exercise we did earlier this evening is important. Because many of us have forgotten how to listen to what our body wants. Children are very good at this. Okay. We're the ones that force children to be what they're not. You go to a child and say, hey, come and eat this food. And the child's like, I'm not hungry. And we're like, well, hey, come and eat this food. I made this food for you. You have to eat right now. And eventually the child becomes obedient. And they're eating not because they're hungry, but because you're forcing them to eat that food. But their body said, I don't want it. But you made them override their body because you override your body. So that's why it's important from time to time. You sit down quietly by yourself and say, what does my body want? What is my body telling me that I need right now? Sometimes your body will say to you, I need to be left alone. We need to be by ourselves. We don't need to be on the phone gossiping, talking about irrelevancies, getting involved in drama. Sometimes the body says, we need boundaries. There are some older women that I've been dealing with recently, And I've had to put firm boundaries. Because when they talk to me, they order me to do stuff. Call me now. Come and pick me up now. And so I did it a couple of times. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I did it for about a month. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I blocked them. Oh, I can't get a hold of you. When I call you, the call doesn't go through. Oh, okay. I don't give an explanation. Oh, this person said this to me and they did the other thing to me. And do you know how terrible this other person is? And they came to my home and they came and ate. Every time they come to my house, they're always eating. So I make a mental note to stop eating in their house. Because if you're complaining to somebody else that they're eating in your house, I'm sure when I eat in your house, you're telling other people that I eat in your house. And I do not want to be like you when I get to be your age. So the sooner I detoxify from you and your indoctrination, the better for me. Oh, did you see? I was there when somebody gave her money, and do you know she went and bought 3 wigs and she bought 2 outfits, and she's on limited income. None of my business. None of my business. I don't want to learn how to be like you by the time I get to your age. I don't want it. So, no, we're going to have boundaries. I will speak to you when it is necessary. I will be cordial with you. I'll be polite. I'll be respectful, but I will speak to you when I need to speak with you, not when you demand that I speak with you. Because my body says detox. I'm carrying too much weight. I'm carrying physical weight. I'm carrying mental weight. I'm carrying emotional weight. I'm carrying financial weight. I'm carrying spiritual weight. I'm carrying too much. I need to detox. And when I'm not detoxing, when I'm not listening and taking immediate action on what my body is telling me to do, that's when I become disobedient. And so I wake up in the morning and my body says, let's go have some watermelon. I go and have a coffee. That is disobedience. And there's a consequence. It's that simple. When your body is saying this is what I need, and you're saying, no, we're not going to do that right now. Let's go do this other thing. There is a consequence. There is a consequence. There is a consequence. 95% of the diseases we suffer from today are as a result of what we put in here. So whether it's food or drink or drugs or whatever it is we're putting in here, body organs, 95% of what we suffer from today is what goes in here. Oh, Jesus said, what defiles a man is not what he puts in his mouth, but what comes out of his mouth. Are you sure that that's what Jesus said? Or are you sure that that was not what it was modified to mean or to say? Many of us, including myself, were overweight because of this, what we're putting here. And you know, I'll keep it real with you. I'm including myself because of. And we keep on stuffing and stuffing. And the more we disobey, the less self-control we have. Because the body is saying, I want watermelon. And we're like, no, you need croissants with lox, scrambled eggs, caviar, a latte. Right? So we and women used to be so much in touch with their bodies, but life happens. Okay, good for your mom, Charlotte's Web. Good woman. There are many people who say, oh, I have no friends, and they think it's a badge of honor. And they don't know that is a mark of perdition. Oh, I have no friends. That's why I have no friends. People will betray you. That's why I have no friends. People are jealous of you. That's why I have no friends. People will envy you, and that's why I have no friends. Are you aware that you can have friends who don't envy you and who are not jealous of you? But for some people, that's not part of their worldview. That's not part of the experience. Their experience and their expectation is that everybody will be jealous of them. Everybody will be envious of them. Everybody is going to attack them. And guess what? Your spiritual crew will make it come to pass because you have said to them, this is the law that I want manifest in my life, so that I can feel comfortable, so that I can feel justified. But think about it from a common sense point of view. Can everybody in the world be jealous of you? Can everybody in the world be envious of you? Think about it from a logical point of view, and the answer is no. So instead of looking out for people to be jealous and envious of me, can I find people who don't have the time to be jealous and envious of me? I can. I can find people who listen to their bodies. Because if they're listening to their bodies and they're obedient to their bodies, they understand that they have no reason to be jealous or envious of me. And if I'm listening to my body, I understand that I have no reason to be jealous or envious of them. What is your body saying to you? What is your body telling you that it needs? All the times that I have disregarded what my body has said to me, I have regretted it. Whether it was in relationships, personal relationships or job relationships, business relationships, spiritual relationships, any and every time I disregarded what my body said to me, I regretted it and I paid a price every single time. Because I don't want to be putting myself out here like, oh, I just told you the story about this young man and his engagement and that I do it all the time. No, there are many times I have disregarded my body's needs and my body's message. Oh, well, let me take on this job. There's good money in it, and get fired 1 month later. Or you're working the job and people start bringing bullshit drama your way. Sometimes I get excited. Oh, I'm going to be part of this thing without asking questions, asking, should I be here? When you are an older person, okay, you see, the dynamics of spirituality is really, really different. You see, when you're younger and you're under someone's roof, a lot of times you are shielded from you're shielded from spiritual responsibility because you're still under somebody's roof, and the spiritual expectation for you are much lower. But the older you get, so many of you may have experienced this, the older you get, you find out the more powerful the spiritual repercussions become. And things you used to get away with, the things you used to get away with, you find out the older you get, you can't get away with them. You can't. And you find out that life becomes a little bit harder as you get older. And so that's why it becomes imperative that you become expert at listening to what your body is saying to you. Okay. Because you may not always have the advantage of doing a divination or getting a divination for every single major important thing happening in your life. Your first divinatory tool is your body. Your first divinatory tool is your body. Your first divinatory tool is your body. Not your oracle cards, not your tarot cards, not your cowrie shells, not your rune stones, not your candle, your Bible, your pendulum, not your Quran, not your book, not your whatever it is that you're using to do your divination. Your first divinatory tool is your body. What is your body saying about this? And if you can just sit still for a few minutes, the answer will come through. But if you're used to disobeying the body and doing whatever it is you want to do, then hearing from the body and sensing what the body is saying might be difficult because you're just used to making a decision. Well, this is what I want to do. The sex was fantastic, therefore he's the right man for me. We all went through that phase. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Oh, it was mind blowing. This is the right person for me. Many of us make a decision based on how good the intimacy is. And our body is screaming, no, no, but the brain is saying, ooh, this is good. And so we're like, okay, my brain likes it, and I like that tingly feeling after it's all said and done. This must be a good decision. But many of us have lived to regret it and lived to confess that we made wrong decisions. So that question is, what is my body saying to me right now? There are people who can tell if there's a disease state in their body by just asking the body, is there something wrong with me? And if the body says yes, they say, what is wrong with me? Where is it? And if you practice that, you should be able to do that for yourself too. You just sit down and ask your body, where is there a problem in my body? And your body will tell you. And don't try to sugarcoat it or start rationalizing it or trying to explain it away. No, that's your body. Where am I having a problem right now? And sometimes you'll feel a tingling sensation, or you feel a throb, or, some throbbing, a throbbing sensation. You might feel some heat or coldness, but a lot of times people will feel a tingling sensation in the part of the body where there's some drama. Some people are so good at it that they will go to the doctor and say, here's what's wrong with me and here's where it's happening. And the doctor is like, who are you to tell me what's wrong with you? And the person's like, well, it's my body and I'm telling you this is what it is. And the doctor checks and they say, lo and behold, it is as the person said it was. We all have the ability to do that. Okay. All right. So we've been at this for 2 hours. It's always a plum pleasing pleasure to hang out with folks, like Les Brown would say. If nothing else, even if you didn't gain anything else from this evening's class, remember this. Ask your body what it needs. You'll be surprised. You'll be very, very surprised. Okay. Have we learned anything from today's class? If you've learned something, let's have your oh yeah in the comment section. But, I wonder what this is. Thank you, Ubabdi. A big fat yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ro. Rarest Jewel. How often do you do these? I come on live I have a live stream every Sunday. That one for sure. And then when I have time, I will come on during the week. It's just that over the past several months, I've been incredibly busy. I've been doing a lot of coaching and spiritual practice coaching of my students, also doing a lot of rituals. So I haven't been doing a lot of live streams like I usually do. People have been following me for a while. I'm sure they remember when I used to do a lot of live streams. So I try to catch up by, posting little snippets of videos during the day as much as I can. But many times I'm just like doing rituals, consultations, divinations, and coaching. Okay. And then I also have my regular job. And then I also have my family to take care of. So that's why I put out that little video clip a couple of days ago about people needing to be respectful of other people's time, because I think there's some people who think I'm just sitting at home with a cigar in one hand and a drink in the other. Just sitting and waiting for the phone to ring. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, she has nothing to do. Why isn't she responding to the long letter I wrote in the comment section of her YouTube channel? I remember there was somebody, I forget where she was living anyway, and she used to be so angry that I would just say, hello, hi, wonderful, Tried to respond to as many comments as possible, and she was angry that I wasn't writing long, detailed answers to whatever it was she was putting in the comment section. And I guess one day she lost the battlefield in her own head, and she started cussing me out and telling me what a terrible person I was. That's not my cross to carry. That's not my burden to carry. So sometimes you just have to let things go. Okay, people are upset that you're not doing a tap dance the way that you want. They want you to do the tap dance. Wish them well. That's why Jesus the Christ said, if you go to a city, if you go to a town and you wish them peace, and you say peace be upon you, but they chase you out and tell you they're not interested in you and what you're bringing, shake the dust off your sandals and take your peace with you and go. He didn't say go there and start waging war. He didn't say go there and force them to believe what you have to say or force them to accept what you're saying. He just said dust off, shake off the dust off your sandals at that place. In other words, wash your hands free of them and keep it moving. That's all you got to do. Okay, so when you're getting older and you're valuing peace of mind, it's not every battle that you will engage in. When you're younger, yes, you have the energy to engage in battles left and right, left and right. And sometimes it's this energizing thing. Yeah, I'm going to enter this debate, or I'm going to enter this argument, or I'm going to enter this fight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. But when you get older and you're thinking about what legacy am I going to leave behind? What am I going to teach? Generations after me, how am I going to be an elder? Then those kind of battles no longer become interesting, because you have passed the stage of proving yourself in your life. And by the time you hit 50, and so you start slowing down because you don't have anything to prove at this point. Hopefully you don't have anything to prove. At this point, you're consolidating. You're consolidating. You're letting other people get involved in those battles and things like that. And so by the time you're hitting 60, you're comfortable and your boundaries are set. And you know what you accept and what you won't accept. You know what you will do and what you won't do. Your yes is your yes, your no is your no. Now, for some people, that occurs a lot earlier. But you want to get to that point where you're like, you know what? If this is not what I want to do and not something I have to do, I'm not going to do it. If I don't want to put on makeup, I'm not going to put on makeup. If I don't want to get a sew in, I'm not going to get a sew in. I'm going to be decent. I'm going to be clean. But I'm also going to be comfortable. Okay. Again, my website is drtochi.com and tochi.us. On my website, you can see gold I have for sale. Pretty gold if you want to start living in your rich auntie vibes. And hopefully I'll get some stuff for the guys as well to put on that page. I also have divinations, spiritual consultations, dream interpretations, and spiritual practice coaching on my website. I also publish public events that I do from time to time, or member events that I do from time to time on my website. And you'll also find books and courses and products on my website. All right. Make sure that you are availing yourself of all the spiritual resources that you need and can use to help you express your spiritual practice and be yourself. We're thankful to our Creator, our guardian spirits, and our ancestors and spirit guides for this wonderful time of community together. We're just so thankful. We have no requests to make at this time, even though we have needs, but at this time we just want to be grateful and not make any request. We'll make those requests tomorrow. Ashe. Isay, Kamago, Takoza, Lasedi, Makwande, Ibobo. And yet how it is done is finished, is complete. Amen. Ma'at. So thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. Love you all. See you later.